Among the Pharisee community, I'm well known for my dinner parties. It's all about the guest list. You want to invite just the in crowd and exclude everyone else. Mama always said, Simon, only eat with people like you. But my wife, Susanna, has been clamoring for me to mix things up a bit. She had wanted to invite that traveling preacher named Jesus, but I said, no way. I'm not having some drunkard and glutton at our home who is well known for dining with tax collectors and those people we call sinners, because they do not meet the same high standards of piousness and purity as the rest of us Pharisees. Susanna and I settled on John the Baptist. Perhaps he'll be good entertainment. I am curious to know what it's like to live in the wilderness without the company of people, subsisting on locusts and honey, and never drinking wine.
Tonight will be full of surprises. I'm sure of it. I've made a few minor adjustments to the guest list. I'm sure my husband will have lots to say about that. My husband reluctantly agreed to invite this wilderness prophet named John. Stories about him have been all the rage since he baptized Jesus of Nazareth. Apparently, John is quite prophetic and looks a little like a wild man. He couldn't make it though, so I invited the next best thing. We'll see what Simon has to say about that. Honey, most of the guests are here. Are you excited for tonight's festivities?
At this point, I'm just hoping to get through this evening. I am so tired of having to kiss hello every single guest. I think my lips are going to crack. And I need to check in on Cook one last time. Do you know how mad he's been at me since I insisted he accommodate John's paleo diet? I finally had to tell him he could prepare real food for the other guests. Where is that John the Baptist?
I think our invited guest will be here soon. Oh, there he is. Hi, Jesus over here.
Jesus? Why is that man here?
Because I invited him. Now take a deep breath and let's go greet our guest.
You do what you need to do, but I'm not even giving him water to freshen up. And he's not sitting at the head of the table, I can tell you that.
Well, wherever you put him, that's where I'm sitting too. I want to get to know this man, Jesus.
This is so typical of you lately that I feel like I don't even know you anymore. You sit down there with Jesus if you want, but if people ask me, I'm telling them, I told you to do that to control him. I cannot have a scene at this party tonight.
Well, I'm back. Back in this backwater town, standing at the front door of Simon's house. Just as I imagined, it's wide open. How hysterical. Simon and his invitations, his exclusive guest list, as if anyone couldn't just walk right in. And as if they wouldn't know exactly what was going on when they got here. Clanging crystal and silver, incomprehensible chatter intermixed with pretentious cackle. Voices I have tried to forget. As I enter the dining area, the voices connect with the flesh. There they are, the self-righteous charter member, pretentious Pharisee posse, reclining around a cluttered table, chattering about irrelevant rules and self-serving laws. Simon's eyes meet mine. Is he pretending not to know me? From the darting glances and rolling whispers of the others, they've decided that they don't know me either. Once upon a time, they couldn't wait to greet me. Once upon a time, I would have been on Simon's and every other important Pharisee's guest list. I would have joined in, sashaying around, swishing my wine, obsessing about being in the right crowd, obsessing about being perceived as respectable under their code of ethics. Okay, God, I know, knock it off. Focus. I'm not here to see them. I'm here to see Jesus. Focus on his voice. It's drawing me to the end of the table. I can see his luscious black hair. A few tendrils of curls caressing the curve in the nape of his neck. My heart is pounding. I just need to reach him, get close enough to touch him, stroke him, brush my cheek against his. I've waited so long to be in his presence again. My eyes are getting watery, blurry. As I'm walking up behind him, I stumble against his feet.
Who is that woman? How many people did my wife add to the guest list? It's Kadiri. She used to be the most pious Pharisee, but word on the street, so she started hanging around with tax collectors and sinners, making her a sinner with a capital S because the girl knows better. Kadiri, what are you doing here?
I was so lost in my conversation with Jesus that I didn't even see Kadiri enter the room. I only heard my husband's little outburst. Kadiri hasn't been on our guest list for months. And now suddenly she's here, beside me, like nothing has even changed. My husband has been so concerned with his little guest list and making sure there's not a spectacle at dinner tonight. I can't wait to see how he handles this.
Jesus is talking to someone, but his hand reaches back and touches my ankle. Just the touch opens the floodgates. Water rains down my face, drips off my chin. My tears are showering his feet. I bend down to dry the salty tears and begin kissing his feet. The caked sand, the calluses. But I can't pull my lips away. I feel his foot moving, slipping from my grasp. Wait, I remember why I came, the anointing. I can hear my own breath. Where's the bottle? Of course, it's in my pocket, half tumbled out. I grip it in my hands. They're wet, salty, sandy. I fumble with the top. I pour an abundance of perfume on his feet. Not his head, his feet. No need to anoint his head. He's already a king, a prophet, a priest, and this body certainly is not ready for burial. He's not dead. Every part of him, his touch, his voice, his being speak life, lavish, all-encompassing, abundant life.
Even from the head of the table, I can smell the perfume. It's an overwhelming scent of gardenia, the exclusive Chanel designed by Coco herself. Kadiri's lavishing that expensive perfume on Jesus' feet and working her fingers all over his feet and legs. This man Jesus is supposed to be a prophet? Does he even know who and what sort of woman this is? And why is he allowing her to touch him like that?
Jesus leans in and asks my husband, "Can I tell you something?" I can almost hear Simon's heart beating out of his chest. We all turn and stare at him as sweat pools on his forehead.
Tell me, teacher.
And then Jesus tells one of those parables that he's so famous for. A moneylender had two debtors. One owed about a year's worth of wages, and one owed 2 months of wages. When they were unable to pay, he graciously forgave them both. "So which of them will love him more?" Jesus asks Simon.
Is Jesus trying to trick me? Is Sweat pours down my face in some sort of competition with Kadiri's tears. I really wish that John the Baptist were here instead of Jesus. I suppose the one with the biggest debt forgiven?
To my surprise, Jesus tells my husband that he has judged correctly.
Jesus' voice is getting louder. He's speaking to Simon, but I keep spreading the oil, rubbing it into his flesh. Jesus turns toward me and says, Kadiri. I look up as I hear my name again, Kadiri. I feel the gentle touch of his hand on my chin. We are eye to eye as Jesus asks Simon, do you see this woman? I can feel the glares of Simon and his guests, but I only see Jesus, my teacher, my comforter, my leader, my love. Guests started murmuring, and I hear Simon gasp, but Jesus' eyes are still cleaving to mine, piercing through my tears, pouring into my soul.
Even with the murmuring and all the stares coming from the head of the table, Kadiri's eyes remained transfixed on Jesus. I watched her, mesmerized, and Jesus continued to address my husband, saying to him, I entered your house, and you did not offer water to clean my feet, nor did you kiss my cheek when I came in. But Kadiri, she has bathed my feet with oil, with her tears, dried them with her cheeks and her hair, and she hasn't stopped kissing me since she walked in. You did not anoint my head with oil, but she has anointed my feet with perfume. Me, not her king, not her priest, but her teacher, her leader, her friend, her God. Her sins, which were many, have been forgiven. She has shown great love. But you, the one who has been forgiven little, loves little. After Jesus finished berating my husband with all those comments, I sat there a little unsure of what to do next. Oil dripped from Kadiri's bottle onto the floor, onto Jesus' feet, and the scent of the floral perfume continued to fill the room, overpowering the roasted lamb that we had for the occasion. Kadiri's sobs echoed throughout the dining space, and everyone stared at her. Still, she continued to massage the ointment into the cracks on his heels, and she stretched her fingers between his toes, gently stroking each scrape accumulated from walking miles and miles on foot. I look at Kadiri, still weeping as she works. Jesus looks at her and tells her that her sins have been forgiven and that she should go forth in peace. Who is this? Who even forgives sins? I gasped aloud as I realized that my thoughts had come from my brain and come out of my mouth. While everyone looked to me, surprised by my little outburst, Jesus kept looking at Kadiri. He said again, your faith has saved you. Go in peace. Kadiri doesn't move immediately, but continues to dry his feet with her hair. Finally, she stops, pulls back, fumbles to recork the bottle in her greasy fingers. But the cork slips between them. Her eyes catch mine. Here, let me help, I say. I take the vial from her, seal it. And as I put it back into her hands, she smiles and winks at me. On her way out, she collides with my husband, who is pushing his way past the servants, charging to the foot of the table where we were seated.
Jesus, you need to leave.
He's not going anywhere. He's our guest.
Your guest. I didn't invite him. He needs to leave.
Where he goes, I go too.
Are you crazy, woman? Have you had too much to drink?
I'm not crazy. For the first time in a while, I can actually see. Can you see, Simon? Do you see this man?
As I leave Simon's house, I think about the fun I used to have at those dinner parties. But then I remember the pain that those people caused me, rejecting me, labeling me a sinner. When my head clears from the noise of the pretentious cackle and clanging of glasses, I continue to hear Jesus' voice, the one who is forgiven little, loves little. And oh, the way that I love him. I must have been forgiven a great deal. Maybe now it's time to forgive myself, to forgive the Simons of the world. Jesus is leaving town tomorrow, getting back on the road to who knows where. I think Susanna's also going. Maybe I'll join them. Take more risks. Enter more open doors. Don't worry about the guest list.
Soon afterwards, Jesus went on through cities and villages, proclaiming and bringing the good news of the kingdom of God. The 12 were with him, as well as some women who had been cured of evil spirits and infirmities. Mary, called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had gone out, and Joanna, the wife of Herod's steward Chuza, and Susanna, and many others who provided for them out of their resources.